We are live now. Let's get this all set up properly. Just trying to make sure that we've got sound. I'm not sure if my sound is very good, so I'm just going to plug in a new microphone here and let's see if this works. The sound should be fine. Okay, if anybody is having trouble hearing me or difficulty hearing or seeing me, please let me know in the messages, and let's just get started. So, what a crazy world we live in. Now, I mean, obviously, first of all, just let you know, we're all working from home. We've been at home for the last 4 or 5 weeks here in Auckland under level 4 restrictions, which may or may not change in the next few days. But meanwhile, there's been a massive announcement from the Immigration Minister this morning about a new 2021 resident visa. And we did have sort of a hint about this before the announcement, because there was let's say a accidental pre-release on the immigration website where someone had accidentally released some notice of a new resident visa. But now it's been announced. Now, I should clarify to everyone that what has been announced is, and this is normally how it works, that the government, the minister, will make an announcement about how they intend to release the policy, and then of course later on they will release the actual policy wording. Now, policy wording can occasionally be a little bit different than what's worded in the announcements, and so just a little caveat or a warning for you guys, that as things are worded in this announcement this morning, we may actually find slight variants or changes or details in the actual policy. And as they say, the devil is in the detail. So what that really means for immigration is that when they do release the actual policy, that is what we have to look at for determining people's eligibility. So that's the very first thing I would say, is that when we read this this policy announcement, or at least the news announcement, just be a little bit cautious and careful about reading between the lines, because the actual policy will be released in due course, and I would assume likely within the next few weeks. The reason I say that is because they have mentioned that they will be emailing eligible candidates within October. All right, so the point for today is to have a Q&A session. So I can see a lot of people are already logging in, and the questions are already coming hard and fast. I'm going to do my best to try to get through the questions. I'll just let you guys know that what often happens in these sessions is that the same questions keep coming over and over. So I'll not really be addressing the same questions over and over. I'll just try to address once and for all the main key issues. And then, yeah, let's just get straight into it, because if I don't, then we're going to miss out on all these questions. Okay, so we've got Rahul, Nasido, another Rahul, all saying good morning. Thanks, guys. Good morning, nice to see you. Now, also some of these names I'm seeing here already, I know that I've missed a call from you. Just let you guys know that I have actually received over 100 phone calls within 2 hours. And I can't answer all the calls, I just can't. So that's why I sent everybody a message just saying, hey, look, we're doing this session. I'll try to answer everybody's question here at once. If after this you guys still do need to talk to us, please send us an email. advice@iclegal.co.nz, and we'll do our best to get back to you. If you're an existing client of ours, we definitely will prioritize your request, your queries, and we'll definitely look into your case as soon as we can. Okay, so let's go. Okay, Nasido here has mentioned, already submitted SMC in 2019, waiting for a decision, married, 3 years old child, living in New Zealand since 2014. What good for us? Well, congratulations, Nasido. You're likely to be prioritized. There's sort of a word from immigration that they may consider prioritizing existing cases that are already in the pool. I do know some people have called immigration this morning and have been told like this. We don't know exactly how that will work, but it's possible that if you've already got SMC in process, that immigration may actually just prioritize your case. But there's also going to be the option to likely withdraw that application, make the new application, and then possibly get a refund of fees, possibly. We haven't got confirmation about that yet, but I would think that that's something that they would consider. If you've already submitted SMC in 2019, you've likely also been here for a long time. You mentioned since 2014, so you're going to be eligible for this new visa. Just to clarify, guys, they have mentioned to be eligible, you have to have been in New Zealand yesterday, right now, and you have to be on an eligible visa as of yesterday, or a visa that's later granted, if you've applied already by yesterday. And you've also got to meet one of these criteria. Number one, either, and this is the point, either you have been here for 3 years, or you are earning above $27 an hour, or you work in a role that's on this list, which they're calling now a scarce list. This is a new terminology. It's not one of the existing skill shortage lists. It's called a scarce list. And there is a list here they've actually listed. You can click on the website and see. It's just about everything. It's almost everything. There will be some occupations that are not included there. Retail manager, for example. But this actually covers a lot of people, really a lot of people. And it does cover you, Masita. Okay, so we've got, where should I go down to the beginning? I'm going to find out where's the beginning. Okay, Marlene Lyons is asking, hi David, we already applied for residence from work in April. Main applicant meets all the threes. Do we apply in December or do we wait? Okay, so if you've already applied for your residence from work, so again, there's this question of whether immigration may be actually prioritizing cases that are already submitted. But I would suggest for you, Marlene, you just need to hold on for a little bit, just wait, because immigration has indicated that they're going to be contacting people who are eligible to apply in December. And it might be the case that it's worthwhile for you to apply in December for this new visa, because it might actually be a faster process. But this is something where I suggest you just hold on for a while, because we don't really know fully yet. Gosh, there are so many questions coming, they're actually already disappearing faster than I can get into them. Pete and Ranjit Wood say, hi David, hi guys. Now, I know your question, it's going to be related to your visa, which is a partnership visa. So here's something I can clarify right away. This new resident visa, guys, does not cover partnerships. It doesn't cover people who are here holding partnership visa. Okay, so if you are already in New Zealand on a partnership process and you're applying for residence on partnership, this doesn't cover you. It's a totally different type of situation. However, you may actually still be eligible if you've held a different type of visa that's listed here. It's just that it doesn't cover partnership visas, so it doesn't cover you guys. But you're fine anyway. Okay, look, I've got to apologize already if I miss your question because they're coming through so fast, they're disappearing off the screen. Okay, hi David, what about fee and English requirement? Kevin, I'm sorry, this is not clarified yet. We don't know yet about fees or English language requirements, just not in the announcement. Okay, Anastasia Timoshkina says, my post-study work visa will expire. Oh God, it's disappearing. How do I make these questions not disappear so quickly? Let's see if I can fix that first, guys. Because otherwise this is going to be a problem. Okay, let's see here. Okay, no, sorry, they're disappearing. I don't know how to figure this out. I'm not a techno wizard. Let's have a look. Okay, next. Amber Chen says, hi David, I had my diploma graduate in early childhood education on 28 September. Am I supposed to have post-study work visa later on, but I haven't applied? So could I know if it's possible to have one off visa? Yeah, so actually in your case, it looks like you might not be eligible here because what they've mentioned is that short-term visa holders are not eligible, such as visitors, students, and seasonal workers. Now, how that looks, unfortunately, is that if you have not applied for the eligible visa, which is your post-study visa, by the 29th of September, it looks like you won't be eligible. So I'm really sorry to say to you that based on the policy as it's been announced, you particularly may not be eligible. So I'm sorry about that, but I'd say, Amber, just keep watching the news, because when the policy is actually announced, the actual wording, it might cover you. Just based on what we can see here, it's not. Okay, Zelda Potgeiter Mengel says, we've applied for residency via WTR in June. Will this be withdrawn and reapply? Possibly. You might be better off to withdraw and reapply on this new visa, possibly. But I would suggest before you take any action to withdraw, wait and see further this October what the actual announcement will be of the policy, and also talk to an advisor or lawyer before you take any action. because like I said, immigration may actually consider prioritizing cases that are already in, or not. Yeah. Himanshu Sharma says, hi David, I'm on a partnership-based work visa, but I've stayed in New Zealand for over 3 years and have studied and had open visa in the past. What will happen in my scenario? So if you look at, again, we're referring specifically to the immigration website where they've announced, where they've mentioned specifically what they're going to announce as the policy, and they've said to be eligible, you must hold or have applied for one of these visas that are listed here, and the eligible visas here does not actually include partnership visas. So if you're holding a partnership visa, you in theory, you should actually have your pathway through that partnership. And just to clarify, when I say partnership visas, what I mean is partner of a New Zealander, so partner of a New Zealand resident or citizen. If you're partner of a work visa holder, and that work visa holder is in this list, then as the partner, you can be included in that application when your partner applies. But if your partner is a New Zealander, you're eligible for residence through that partnership, and you don't need this new visa. And that's why I think they've lifted out from here. Okay, Rahul Dev says, I come under the scarce list as support worker. Can I apply in March? It appears that you may be able to if you come under that list. If you meet the requirements of those one of those three, which is that you have lived here 3 years, or you're getting 27 or out, or you're on the scarce list, one or the other, then you'd be able to apply. And just the question about March there, they've said here that from the 1st of December, those people who have already applied for residence, SMC or residence from work, and those people who have not applied residence yet, but they've done an EOI in the last 18 months, or since it was closed, and if you have a child who's 17 or over, then you will be able to apply from December, the rest of you from March. So it looks like, yes, you'll be eligible from March. Okay, yeah, look again, sorry guys, these questions are disappearing faster than I can read them. Okay, what about IELTS requirements? No, there's no mention about that yet. So a lot of questions here about IELTS. There's no mention about IELTS. However, they have mentioned about police certificate not required unless they ask. Medicals, they may be requiring some limited medicals. So the issue of IELTS or English is not actually addressed yet. Okay, Himanshu Atreja says, would immigration continue to prioritize work to resident visa applications in December with high income candidates? It seems that they will. They haven't actually said anything about the priority queue, right? So it seems that that's still going to be in line. It's just this is a new category for people to apply. Okay, Deepan asking about whether it will affect people who have not lived together. Oh God, how do I find these questions to come back so they don't? Okay, make it slow. If I change the settings, then you guys can't comment so quickly because they're just disappearing so fast. Preet Kaur says, hi, please answer. I am eligible to apply for residency under work to residency category now. Can I still apply, or should I need to apply in a new category? Preet, I would suggest to contact us or an advisor because we need to look at your specific circumstances. If you are eligible under the new one, then it may be actually better because it seems that they might be prioritized or considered faster. Oh man, I really got to do something about these comments. They're just disappearing off the page. You guys are so quick on the keyboard. You're faster than I can. Can't catch up. Prince Paul, hi David. I'm earning $27.30 per hour and holding work to residence visa, living in New Zealand for the last 5 years. Can I apply now? Possibly, yeah. Paul, Prince, just get in touch with us. If you are the same Prince Paul as our client, I think you are. Yes, we know you. Just get in touch with Shiv and we'll look into your situation. It's possible that you'll be eligible to apply now straight away. Okay, Noah Pereira says, do you believe it's better to apply for the EOI if we have sufficient points or wait until March to apply a fresh application? Noah, it's going to come down to your personal circumstances. If you are eligible under the new visa, then it's possible that the new visa will be better for you because it really does appear that this new residence visa is kind of like a free-for-all application. It looks like they're not really going to be considering things like your skill level. They're not going to consider too much about the normal ENSCO requirements, pay rates and things like that. The scarce list, it includes some pretty basic occupations. So a lot of people are going to be eligible for this, and I believe that it's really just the Labour Party swinging from one side of the pendulum to the other. you know, it kind of, in a way, it makes us look stupid because people have been asking us for the last 2 years what's happening with immigration, and we tell everybody, hey, it's getting harder, it's getting harder, it's getting harder. And now all of a sudden, it's kind of like Oprah Winfrey giving a car to everybody in the audience. It's like a free residence for everybody. This is really what it looks like. If you meet the eligibility requirement, looks like it's going to be quite straightforward for you. So now I would say talk to a professional first, but you can weigh it up. You know, if you've got loads of money, you just do both, because then you're covered. Okay, Claudia Russo Ross. Hi David, we meet all the criteria. However, we need to know if part of the document requirements will be to pass IELTS. So again, the IELTS question, we don't know yet. It hasn't been mentioned in the release. Possibly yes, no. As I say, the devil is in the detail. I don't want to give any clear answer about that yet because, you know, we just don't know. Okay, Tanvir Kaur says, what about those who have already applied EOI? Do we need to reapply? So this is a new application, which means if you're going to apply under the new residence category, you will need to reapply. It's what it looks like. Now, again, like I said before, some people who have got existing applications in process, you know, you might consider that that's appropriate for you just to leave it in process and not apply for the new one. But it looks like you'll be withdrawing and applying again. That's what it looks like. And possibly there'll be refunds for the existing application. We don't actually know everything yet. We need to wait for the actual policy to be announced. Okay, Arif Chowdhury says, also, is it invite-only visa? Meaning, is it mandatory to get an invite? No, it doesn't look like it's an invite-only visa, so like an invitation to apply. It doesn't look like that. It looks like it's just going to be an application. So you fill the form, submit all of your documents, and demonstrate how you are eligible. That's what it looks like. When immigration will send the final policies, asks Gabriella. We don't know. A few weeks. Wait for a few weeks. Okay, Pragnesh Patel says, hi David, what about partner not currently with me? So now if we look at the website where they've announced this, they do mention here partners and dependent children, including those currently outside New Zealand, can be included. So most likely it's going to come under the usual criteria for partners, which means that you need to show that you've lived together for 12 months, and if you haven't lived together for 12 months, then you can still be included, but there might be a deferred process so that the partner would have to come to New Zealand first, live 12 months, and then get residence later, and the principal applicant would be processed first. It looks like that. Okay, Sang-Hoon Oh, I'm holding essential skills work visa and lived in New Zealand since March 2017, but my work is not on the list. Am I eligible? Yes, you will be, because you'll notice that it mentions either or. So either you have lived here for 3 years, or you have work that's above $27 an hour, or your job is in the scarce list. So if you've lived here for 3 years and you hold the eligible work visa today or yesterday, then it looks like you'll be eligible. Again, wait for the policy to be released. Okay, we've got Uliana asking about police check. So look, if you look on the website, it mentions that they're not going to actually be requiring police checks as automatically, but immigration may request one. So immigration officers, just so you know, can actually request a police check. They can request English normally, for any application. So they've mentioned that it's not required. It says that you must meet health and character requirements, which is a standard for every residence application anyway, but it says overseas police certificate will not be required unless specifically requested. Yep. So we have to wait and see if your immigration officer will ask for one. Ronnie's asking if he's eligible. Ronnie, you'll need to get in touch with us separately. Probably you will be, Ronnie Singh, Ranjit. Lots of questions about IELTS, so you guys can read above and see. Preet is asking, please answer, am I eligible to apply now? Yeah, possibly, Preet. You need to contact us about your personal circumstances if you want to apply now or wait for this new visa. It's up to you. Okay, Mia Huyn. Hi David, I applied for EOI in August 2020, still sitting there, no case officer. So if you've applied for an EOI, it's not actually a residence application, that's an EOI, that's an expression of interest. You'll need to check here that they've said if you've submitted an EOI and you've got a child who's 17 years or over, they might allow you to apply in December and be prioritized. But otherwise, that EOI itself doesn't technically make you eligible. You have to check the eligibility criteria for this new visa. So again, look, I've got to say, sorry guys, these questions are disappearing so fast. I can't catch up with them all. There's about almost 300 people in the meeting here, and the questions are disappearing so quickly. If you ask a question, if I haven't answered it already, then please feel free to get in touch with us separately. Okay, so Paula Correa, that's disappeared as well. I'm going to have to scroll down and just go to a few other questions. Okay, Shubham Samajpati, I know who you are. Hi David, I think you know about my case, and I did contact you a few days. I'm on essential skills visa. My pay rate is $28.50. I came to New Zealand in 2013. Wonderful. Shubham, you're going to be eligible. You're going to be eligible. Look, most of you guys are going to be eligible. It's really great for all of you. Sandeep Bhatt says, if someone got promoted to a job on scarce list last week, for example, working as baker's assistant from 1 year, promoted to baker job, to is still eligible? The answer will be yes, actually, because it's as of yesterday. Yeah, if you've got that visa. Medica says she's just joined in. Do we need to apply again in December? Medica, in your case, you've got your application in process and it's waiting a case officer, and this is for residents. So you can really choose to apply again or to leave your existing one in process. I think in cases like yours, we're going to have to weigh up this balance of, okay, does it make sense to just wait for a visa officer to process your existing one? What's the likelihood of it going through smoothly? Or does it make sense to just give up on that and start again with the new one, considering that these new applications may take some time as well? In many cases, I think because of the ANSCO requirement, the skilled employment, this type of thing, it might actually make sense to shift over to the new application. In some cases like yours, Medica, maybe not, because you should be quite close to a visa officer. I think maybe my advice to you guys is don't panic. I'm receiving 1,000 emails this morning already, but we don't actually have the policy, number one. Number two, no one will be allowed to apply until December anyway. So number three, they're going to be mentioning later this October about who's going to be able to apply. So I'd say, guys, just be a little bit patient. Wait until we actually get the policy announcement. That's my advice. And that's what I think. Otherwise, yeah, feel free to contact us. If you're an existing client of ours, we will definitely respond to your emails. Okay, Udita says, my post-study visa expires in 2023 and they mentioned apply before July. Look, yes, they have said there's a cap. You're going to have to apply before a certain point next year, and there'll be a date that's formalized, and everyone will have to apply before then. This is a one-time, one-off visa, guys. You're going to have to all apply, and then they'll just process everybody. It's a way for them to deal with the backlog before they actually formally start the new program and maybe open the border next year. Galib is asking, do I think the assessment will be simpler and faster? Yeah, it's going to be. And for that reason, anybody who comes to us for assistance will be offering some heavily discounted rates for assistance, because it's not going to be required to prove your skilled employment. It's going to be actually a process of gathering all the correct paperwork and just demonstrating how you are eligible. So I would think if you've got an immigration advisor who's charging you a lot of money for this, I would suggest shopping around a little bit. Again, look, once again, guys, I'm sorry, these questions are disappearing faster than I can read them. So Claudia Russo-Ross is asking, my daughter is stuck in South Africa. She's turning 25 in August. We're currently eligible to apply March 2022. Do I have to have a case officer before she turns 25? The rules about including your children are that they have to be within that age at the time of the application. So it's not to do with the time of the assessment. It's to do with the time of the application. So if you're actually not eligible to apply for this new visa until March, but your daughter already goes past the age before then in theory that would mean she's not eligible to be included. And I think that in cases like yours, Claudia, it's a good idea to contact a professional, because there are sometimes ways to convince immigration to grant exceptions to the normal rules. Now, it's not easy, and it's a kind of a legal submission that needs to be put forward, and everything has to be weighed up. And I think that it's gonna come down to a number of factors, and there's no way to guarantee that it will work. But I think that you should really contact us or somebody professional to talk about that as an option, to see if she can be included or not. Okay, Shuja Zahid says, hi David, what about partner offshore who's not lived together 3 to 6 months, will they qualify? So there are certain rules about how you can include a partner in a residence application, if you're married, if you're de facto, if you're living together, these things. And you can include a partner if you meet those criteria. It's not actually connected to this living together time period. That's a separate thing. To be granted residence, the partner has to have lived with you 12 months. That's to be granted residence. But to be included in the application, it's a different criteria. So I would say that when you do apply, contact us or a professional to see if we can include your partner in the application. And if it's possible, I would suggest to do it. Okay. Simran Kaur, hi David, how about existing residence files? So I've answered this one before as well. It comes down to your personal circumstances. In some cases, existing files might be best left in process because you'll get a visa officer soon. In other cases, it might be appropriate to give up that existing one and just start the new process. I would suggest so any client of ours, contact us about your file that's in process, and we'll definitely take care of you. We're going to find a way to continue with existing processes if possible, or to roll you over to the new application. Okay, Saurabh Singh says, I have WTR and working in health sector since 2017. If I apply for one-off in December or March, can I change my visa to essential skills work visa? You can. You can change to essential skills anytime you like, but it's not required for you. And like you have your existing work to residence, it's okay. That allows you to keep working, and that is on the list of types of visas. So I don't see why you would change your visa, but you can apply for a new, like if you need to, you can apply for a new visa under essential skills, and you should still be eligible. Okay, Aman Babwani says, hello, I'm in New Zealand for more than 5 years. I'm eligible, however, my employer is ready to raise my pay. Should I go with it? If your employer is going to give you a pay rise, hey, just take it. But you don't need the pay rise to be eligible, because you've been here 5 years and you hold the right visa, you're eligible. So we're actually getting a lot of calls about this already this morning. Hey, can I increase my pay now? Look, if the only criteria that you meet would be the pay raise, and you need that pay raise to be eligible, that pay raise should have been in effect as of yesterday. Is what it looks like. That's what it looks like from the announcement here, that you that you earn the $27 an hour as of yesterday. Now again, referring to the policy, because the devil is in the detail, it's not actually formally announced. If you click on the link which says check if you are eligible to apply, there are a number of questions, and you can answer those questions and see if you're eligible. And the way those questions are worded and the way the announcement is worded is also slightly different. So my warning to everybody is be careful about making a judgment purely only on what's written in this news media announcement, because this news media announcement on the immigration website is not the immigration policy. The immigration policy will be released soon, and when the immigration policy is released, then we will really know for certain who's eligible, who's not, how to apply. Okay. Bawa Angel is asking about a limitation to 5,000 applications. I don't see any mention of a limitation in the news announcement. If I'm mistaken, let me know, but I don't see any limitation on the actual immigration website on the number of applications. Some people are claiming that 100,000 or more people would be eligible for this visa, which sounds reasonable. Sounds great. Great for you guys. Okay, Sandu, I'm here from 2014, but now my wife on study visa and I'm on open work visa on behalf of my wife. Am I eligible? Well, let's have a look at the list. So the eligible visa types: post-study, talent, essential skills, religion, talent, art, culture, long-term skill shortage, silver fern, trafficking victim, migrant exploitation, skills migrant, job search. Yeah, unfortunately, it does not include people who are on an open partnership visa based on the relationship with the visa holder. Your wife is on a student visa, and it appears that you guys are excluded. Now, this is kind of a gap in the policy here, and I think this is where you get some pretty disappointed people who recently have made the decision to go back to study. you're thinking that studies will help them to get to eligibility, because if you've recently been granted a student visa, even though you've been here all this time, that student visa that you hold as of yesterday renders you ineligible for this new visa. And look, I feel really sorry for people who have made that decision, but there's just been no kind of warning signs about this application and the eligibility criteria. So there's no way that anybody could have warned you that it's a bad idea to go to a student visa. It just is what it is. And I think that, in your case, you're best to contact some advisors or lawyers to find out if there's another sort of strategy to get to residence, because it looks like you might be eligible. Okay, Medica says, thank you, David. Thank you, Medica. Always nice to help out our clients. And yeah, just to mention, guys, if you are our existing client, and if you're trying to contact us, just keep in mind we're getting a lot of inquiries this morning. So if you get a kind of a templated response from us, it's just because we're having difficulty to reply to everybody. But if you have a substantive inquiry, like a query that's genuine, you really need to know the answer, please feel free to just email us again after a few days, or phone call or anything, and we will definitely prioritize our existing clients. If you're just a general inquiry, we'll also respond to you, but just keep in mind it may take a little bit of time. Yeah, speaking of that, see phone calls coming through now. Sorry, I can't take your call. Rahul Ganju. Hello, Rahul. Long time no see. Hi, David. The pay rate should be $27 from the past or at the time of submission of the application. As of today, we're getting wage subsidy due to alert levels. Rahul, you've been here a long time, so you'll be eligible based on the time spent in New Zealand. So it won't actually matter whether you have $27 or not, as long as you do still currently hold that work visa that you had last time we spoke. So I wouldn't worry about the $27 if I were you. And just to clarify for anybody who's got the same question, the pay criteria is one of the eligibility criteria. There are 3, and we'll just go over those again. So, okay, first of all, to be eligible, you must be in New Zealand yesterday, and you must hold an eligible visa yesterday, and that's the list we just went through. And then you must meet one of the 3 criteria. Number 1, that you have lived in New Zealand for 3 years or more, regardless of your pay, regardless of your job, right? You might have come here 4 years ago to study, and you still hold your post-study open work visa. And even if you don't necessarily, have one of the jobs on the list or $27 an hour, you still technically would be eligible to apply. Number 2 is if maybe you haven't been here 3 years, maybe you've only been here 1 year, but you currently have a work visa that's eligible, and you get $27 an hour or more. Wonderful, eligible. Or the third one, maybe you haven't been here 3 years, maybe you don't have $27 an hour, but you have a job which is on what they call the scarce list, okay? So scarce list means the long-term skill shortage list, or a job that requires registration, or a personal carer or healthcare worker, which is a lot of you guys, or something in the specified primary sector jobs, and that's a big long list. It's a big long list. It includes cooks and chefs. You've got florists, fishing hand, a fruit or nut picker. It actually includes a lot of jobs, guys. So, yeah, just to clarify that. Next question. Debbie Grobelar. Hi, David. Does this give permanent or temporary residence? So, guys, normally a residence application is a temporary residence. It's not called a temporary residence. It's called just residence, but it's temporary in the sense that if you leave New Zealand and after 2 years the travel conditions would expire. So that's what it is. They're not going to go straight to permanent residence. Permanent residence is what you would apply for after 2 years of holding residence. And then there are some people who are eligible directly to permanent residence, but that's not covered here. That's a different thing. Okay. Usha is asking, is it true that those who are on SMCQ will get allocated case officer board before December? So there's some indication in the rumor mill that's been coming around this morning already that immigration will consider to allocate and process and prioritize those cases that are already in the SMCQ. So it's possible that will happen. I would say, Usha, in your case, let's not take any urgent action on your situation just yet until we get the actual policy wording, which is going to come likely in October. Likely that's what we expect. Okay, Vikas is asking, hi David, currently I'm on Essential skills since 2017. My visa expiring November 2021. Will I still be eligible? I believe so. I believe so, because it looks like they're basing the eligibility as of 29 September. So it looks like you would still be eligible, but we can clarify that once the policy is announced. Okay, Manali Bole says, does years of student visa come under the 3 years of stay? Yeah, it will, because what they've said here is that you've just been in New Zealand for 3 years. It doesn't say that you've held that work visa for 3 years. So it's just people who have been here for 3 years. They're really sort of indicating that they want to, let's say, reward those people who have spent a sufficient time here in New Zealand. Jamin is asking if I've already talked about IELTS. Yes, I have. IELTS is not mentioned in this release, so we don't actually have any clarification about that. Hejin, oh God, the disappearing questions. Sorry, guys. Diego is asking, due to lockdown, I'm paid lower than the medium wage. I go back to my normal rate later. Yeah, so this is a good question. The people who are getting a lower pay due to like a short-term problem with the COVID lockdowns, let's say they're just receiving the wage subsidy, I believe that immigration should be looking at your actual contracted hourly rate and what is your rate over the longer period of time. If there's a short period where you haven't earned that full amount of money and there's a genuine reason for that, I would normally assume, and I would normally make the submission to immigration that it should not be considered as rendering you not eligible, right? So, and this is the case for everything, always actually. If you have some kind of a unique temporary circumstance that means you might not perfectly fit the box of the eligibility criteria, you can still make a submission to immigration and just explain why you feel that you still are eligible. And this is the case for almost everything in immigration. Just keep in mind, guys, that overarching all of the immigration law is this one sentence, that the grant of a visa is an act of discretion, which means that the immigration officers can use their own personal, if they have brain power, sometimes we do question that, but they can use their own personal knowledge, understanding, and discretion to grant or decline a visa. And so it's, I think in your case, Diego, you'll probably be fine. I would say that cases like yours where there's a little bit of a glitch and you think, oh, this is complicated, that's where you need people like us. And that's kind of the reason why we have a job, actually, right? Because we have to translate your circumstance into immigration officer language, in a sense. Okay, Aman Babwani is asking again about, I've been here 5 years, but my pay rate doesn't meet the 27. Guys, just remember, it's either or, three criteria. Either you've been here the sufficient time, or you have the $27. It's not both. And yeah, contact an advisor if you need help. Paula Correa is asking, hi David, I've sent the IOF in June 2021. I haven't received any reply. I've been in New Zealand 4 years under talent work visa. It looks like you'll be eligible. IOF, maybe you mean the EOI, the expression of interest. But if you've been here 4 years and you currently hold a work visa that's in the list, it looks like you'll be eligible. Free visas for everybody, yay. Okay, Bom Chang Shimbong Chang. I'm promoted chef de partie, $27 an hour, commenced 16 September in my contract, but immigration approved my VOC on 30 September. Okay, so it may come down to the type of visa, and because I think if you variation of conditions mean you currently hold a work visa, so it looks like you'll be eligible. And also remember, they have mentioned here, this is for people who maybe not a VOC, but you've actually applied for a new visa that was granted after the announcement. They have mentioned that you either hold or you have applied for an eligible visa, so keep that in mind. It looks like you're eligible, you'll be fine. Okay, Che Sangho. Hi David, I hold the post-study work visa expiring next year, February. I've been here 3 years already, planning to go to South Korea for 2 to 3 months and come back when the border opens. Is it a problem to apply? Now, here's the question. And again, this is going to come down to the actual policy announcement. We don't know yet if you have to be in New Zealand at the time of the application. Probably you will, actually. And if, I think it might be the case that if you've gone outside of the country, you might not be able to apply. And the reason why I say that is only because that's what the current situation is, that they're not actually processing applications for people who have left New Zealand. If if they do allow people offshore to apply, then it would include a lot more people, all those people who are stuck offshore. But it's not actually mentioned in the announcement. I would assume, and look, I want to leave this as an open question. I would assume that it doesn't include people who have left New Zealand, but we're going to have to wait and see what's actually in the wording of the policy when it comes. There was a question here from El Murray about the age limit of 55. El Murray says, what about the age limit of 55? If I'm eligible to apply for EOI in phase 2, but I turn 56 before it's open, I've been 55 as of 29 September, can I submit? Yeah, so this new residence application hasn't mentioned anything about age. So it could be the case that you're actually eligible for it regardless of your change of age, or it could be the case that you come under the type of category that I mentioned before about including children, where you could potentially make a submission to address this shortfall of the policy and request an exemption. But yeah, let's wait for a few more weeks and see how the actual policy announcement, and hopefully it doesn't mention age at all. It appears that you might be eligible regardless. And it's not an EOI process, it's a straightforward application. Fill the forms and send it in. Okay, Uliana Oz says, how are they going to process the number of applications? It's been on the news, 165,000 people eligible to apply. That's a great question. I'd love to know why, for the last number of years, they've been saying we can't process all these applications, and then now all of a sudden they're going to allow 165,000 people to apply for residence in an 8-month period, and they're going to process them all in 12 months. Something doesn't add up here. There's something doesn't make sense. So I'd love to know the answer to that question as well, how they're going to do it. But I can tell you one thing that does come to mind, and that is that this new policy is very straightforward. It doesn't include an assessment of skill, and that's kind of one of the reasons why residence applications take so long, or why I feel that they've been taking so long, is because immigration officers, when they pick up the file, number one, they have to check, your documentation. Are you who you say you are? Is that a real birth certificate? Is it a real passport? Is this a genuine employment contract? Is it fake? This is the first thing they've got to consider. And then they have to go about checking your job and whether it matches the claimed ANSCO occupation code. And this is kind of where immigration officers get caught up, because a lot of applications come in for something like a chef, retail manager, and occasionally some of these applicants are not actually doing a full job of a chef. Maybe they're actually more like a kind of a kitchen assistant. So it's possible that this is what takes so long. And this new application it throws all of that out the window. No assessment of skill required. They'll really just have to go through that first process of making sure your documentation is genuine and that you are who you say you are. And therefore, it might actually be a simple 1 hour, 2 hour process for approving an application. In theory, each officer could approve a handful of them every day. Okay. Kristen Norris says, I'm on essential skills visa as the primary. My partner is on an open work essential skills visa. Probably you mean partnership visa. He is the main applicant for our EOI. He earns over $27. I have teacher's registration. Will he or myself be included? Yeah, you guys appear to be eligible in every respect. You've been here for a number of years. Maybe you've been here 3 years, maybe not. But anyway, you've got the essential skills visa. So you could be the primary applicant by holding the essential skills visa, and because you have you have your teacher's registration, you're eligible to apply early in December. So wonderful, congratulations. You would be the main applicant, Kristen, because you're the one who holds the essential skills visa, not your husband, because he has a partnership-based visa, not on the list. Okay, Bronwyn Heath says, a scenario, if a lady has a post-study visa for 3 years and her husband has a partnership visa working as a mechanic, should he now apply for essential skills earning 32, working in the South Island? Should he change his visa? Main applicant has gone back to China. Okay, well look, there's some complications here. Number one, if the husband has a partnership visa and the main applicant has gone back to China, the husband is breaching his visa conditions. He is actually working unlawfully, technically, because the partnership visa is based on being in partnership with someone who's in New Zealand, but that person's not in New Zealand. Now, depending on how long ago that the main applicant went back to China, this could actually turn into a major problem. Because if this husband has been here for 2 weeks while holding a partnership visa and the partner is back in China, then immediately apply for an essential skills visa and you're probably fine. If the husband's been here for 6 months, you might actually encounter some declines. You might, in theory, actually become liable for deportation. You're breaching your visa conditions, acting unlawfully. Contact an immigration advisor or lawyer immediately. Okay, Deepen Daduk says, INZ website says you can also add partners. Will they question for living together? Yeah, they will. You'll need to prove your partnership, just like normal. And if you're not living together, you could potentially still include a partner, but it'll come under that criteria whereby if you haven't proven living together for 12 months, they can still approve the residence in principle and they can approve the main applicant, and then the partner normally would get a deferred residence approval, which means they would have to come to New Zealand, live for 12 months, and then be granted residence later. Jagjit Singh says, I've already got essential skills visa, but what if I change my job? It seems that you could be okay to change your job, do a variation of conditions or a new application, because they're pinning the eligibility to the 29th of September. Wait for the policy to be announced before taking any rash decisions, but it appears that you'd be eligible. Now, this is something really funny. I've just received a message from one of my staff, and I have to go back on something I just said before, because I mentioned just before that cooks and chefs are eligible, but I've actually just received a message from my staff to say that they've changed the scarce list already. And I'm just clicking onto the scarce list now, and cook and chef have been removed. Isn't that hilarious, guys? You're seeing it live. While we're here live on Facebook, the government is actually changing their mind. They've released an announcement to say here's the list, and cook and chef was on the list, and now literally hours later they've changed the list. It's been removed. Look, this is classic, guys. This is actually a real classic sign from this government that they are all over the place and they're making mistakes left, right and centre. They've announced a wonderful new visa for everybody, and cooks and chefs have gone and celebrated, and now it's not on the list anymore. This is so horrible. It's really bad. I don't know what to say. I feel just embarrassed, actually. It's embarrassing that Immigration New Zealand does this kind of thing. It's really embarrassing. Hopefully, if you're a cook or a chef, that you meet one of the other criteria, and you're not depending on that. Okay, let's move on. More questions. Rochelle Mundok, I came here before September 2018, but only visitor visa. Am I still eligible? You would be. If you've been here for the 3 years and you hold the current visa that's on the list, you would be eligible. Yeah. Justin Wu. Hi David, for those people who went to other countries on 2019 and cannot go back to New Zealand due to border closure, submitted post-study visa, will they have a chance to apply this new visa? So this comes back to my earlier comments about whether or not you can apply if you're not in New Zealand. We just don't know yet. It's not actually in the announcement, but I would assume, and again, it's just an assumption based on my knowledge of these things, how they normally work. I would assume that when looking at the purpose of this visa, that it's really just for people who are in New Zealand. So yeah, wait for the announcement to come. Wait for the actual policy to come. Wait for the actual policy. Raphael is asking if he can get a refund for his EOI. Possibly, yeah. So that there are some indications that immigration will allow people to get refunds for expression of interest or applications already submitted if it hasn't been processed substantially. There's some indication of that. We will have to wait and see how that plays out. Okay. Again, these questions are disappearing faster than I can read them. So, just like I said before, guys, if you've asked a question and it's not been answered, feel free to put it in again, and we'll see if I can get to it. Okay. Daria says my post-study visa expires in March. Will I be eligible to apply in March? Look, it's again. 29 September. If you've got the eligible visa on 29 September, then you should be eligible to apply. Tozboz, hi David, here your client. We are on the priority queue for almost 6 months. Any update on this? Hiran, how's it going? Yeah, so I don't know what's happening with your case. It's a little bit shocking actually that it's been sitting there. I would think that in your case we can expect something to happen with it, because what's likely to happen now is a lot of people are going to withdraw their applications and start with this new visa. In cases like yours that are just so close to being approved, I would hope that they prioritise these and really start to bump them up now. Stay in touch about that. Maui Martirez, we're not 3 years yet yesterday, but we will be 3 years and 2 months. Will we be eligible? Probably not, actually, no, because they said 3 years by 29 September. Currently holding open work visa. Is that an open post-study visa? Then in that case you will be eligible, because again, these three criteria are either or. If you haven't been here 3 years, but you have your visa and you're earning the required amount. So let's go back to the actual announcement. So if you, number one, have been here 3 years or more, okay. If you haven't been here 3 years, number two, that you're getting $27 an hour, okay. So if you're getting $27 an hour, even though you're on an open visa, that's okay. Or if you're in a job that's on the scarce list. So let's say you're not on the list, you haven't been here 3 years, and you're not getting $27 an hour. Well, the $27 an hour it appears to be as of 29th of September, which is yesterday. If your boss has approved a pay rise that's effective earlier this week, then in theory that's fine, and your pay cycle will come, let's say, next week. So devil's in the details, guys. Let's wait for the policy to actually come. But I would say that some people, if you don't meet the other criteria and you're thinking, hey, I was going to get a pay rise soon anyway, talk to your boss today and see if the boss will agree that your pay rise is effective as of yesterday. And legally, that in theory should be fine. In theory, like I say, we need to wait for the actual policy to be announced, because we don't specifically know exactly, how it's going to look just yet. Yeah. All right. Let's look at some more questions. Claire Villanueva, good day. I will meet all the criteria except that I'm still on student visa. If you're on a student visa, you don't meet the criteria. I'm sorry, that's actually one of that's the criteria that you have to hold an eligible visa. So, you actually won't be eligible. Sorry. That's my understanding. Mia Hoyne says, my friend post-study visa got extended during lockdown till early next year. She doesn't have $27 or a job on the list. In the past, she went back home for over a year, then came back to New Zealand. But the time she spent is 3 years. Does she eligible to apply? So the time spent, the 3 years time spent, normally we would assume that means actual time spent in New Zealand. It doesn't usually mean like when you came and now, because if you've left in the meantime for a year and a half, then out of a total 3 years, you've only been here for 18 months. So normally that's what we would assume, that it means you've actually lived in New Zealand for a period of time of 3 years, and they can check that from your entry and exit records. So your friend will need to check, whether they meet the criteria properly. Malav Patel is asking, will immigration consider the exception for the new resident visa? I've been in New Zealand for 8 years and held work visa. Sorry, your question just disappeared before I could finish it. Let's just talk briefly about requests for exemptions or exceptions. There's this thing which we call ETI, exception to instructions, and in some cases this is available where you can convince an immigration officer to exercise their discretion in your favor, even though you might not technically meet the aspect of the policy that you're claiming. Now, getting an exemption or exception to the instructions is not an easy thing, and you really have to convince them that there's a genuine reason or need for it. And the things that they will consider are, do you meet the overall objective of the policy that you're trying to apply for or apply under? Do you have some circumstances that that mean that granting residence should be suitable in your case, even though you don't meet the requirements for the policy? Is there some sort of genuine reason why you specifically don't meet the policy? I'll give you an example of that. We've had cases where somebody has just gone above the age requirement for skilled migrant category, and maybe they're a few years older than the requirement over 55 years old. But we've been able to convince immigration that because of the high quality of the job, because of the impact on the family, because of the amount of tax paying, the requirements of the employer, that they've actually allowed the person to apply. Another one would be English language requirement. We have had cases where immigration have accepted lower English language scores. And a specific case that comes to mind is where somebody otherwise would have met the English language requirement, but they have not met the requirement because of a visual impairment that has meant that when they took the test for English, they actually couldn't pass the specific reading aspect of the test. So their reading test score was so low. And so, of course, immigration considers an exemption to the policy. You can't just get an exception for, just because you want it. You really have to convince them. Sophia Kim says, are you a Korean? Well, your Korean pronunciation is excellent. 전 한국 사람 아닙니다. 그래도 한국어를 좀 할 줄 압니다. Just a little bit. I can speak Korean a little bit. I lived in Korea for a period of time when I was younger, and a lot of my clients are Korean. We have Korean staff, we have Korean speaking staff. We do like Koreans. Justin Wu is asking, hi David, for those people who went to other countries on 2019 can't come back due to, I think I already answered that one. If you're outside of New Zealand, maybe not, but again, we just need to wait for the policy to actually be announced. Sanam Sandhu says, if I will change my essential skill visa to the new employer, then still I'm eligible. Possibly. Yeah, if you meet the eligibility requirements, you would be. I don't see why not. I don't think immigration is going to force people to continue holding their current visa forever while they're applying. It's all to do with whether you're eligible on the 29th of September. Natalie is asking, do you need to be in New Zealand for 3 years? We've been here for 2 years, but my husband does earn more than $27 an hour. Hey, great. Natalie, if you look at the list, it's an either or. So either you've been here 3 years or you have 27 an hour. So looks like he would be eligible. Mantan Man says, can someone increase their pay to $27 an hour, which start from 27 October, Monday? If immigration, when they release the actual policy wording, specifically mentions that you must have had the $27 an hour on the 29th of September, then you can't just increase your pay from next month. You would actually have to somehow retrospectively change your pay. And that's why I mentioned before, like if the pay is the way that you can be eligible, it's the only way, so you don't meet the other requirements of being here 3 years or having a job on the list. If pay is the only way, and you think that your employer could increase your pay as of yesterday, then look into it. As long as it's done lawfully. Give you an example. Let's say your pay cycle is Monday through to Sunday. Today is Thursday, okay? So you've already been working this week, and normally you would get paid next Monday for this week. So if your employer increases your pay and you are paid next week at $27 an hour for this week, then officially you would have actually been $27 an hour yesterday, even though it's done in the future. Do you see my point? Just be careful about this, because look, immigration can sometimes be a bit tricky, and they'll look into what people are really doing, and if they see that you're retrospectively changing your pay, they might have a problem with that. The thing is that lawfully and legally meeting the requirement is usually okay, as long as it is done lawfully and legally, and it's not done with some kind of bad intention to try to trick them, right? So if you get paid next week based on $27 an hour, and the pay is for this week, I don't see a problem. I don't see anything wrong with that. It doesn't sound tricky to me. It's a lawful and legal way to increase your pay. But if it's starting from next week or next month, this might not be the case. TJ Chahal is asking about further rules. It says fees and application will be on website in October. Yeah, we just need to wait and see. And look, as we've just discovered, they're changing this in real time, so that the scarce list has been changed in front of our eyes, since it was released. And so the devil is in the detail, guys. Wait until the actual policy is released before we start making any big decisions. Rochelle is asking how I came before. I think I already answered that one before. Claudia, would be interesting to see how they are going to handle family that's eligible, stuck abroad, coming back into New Zealand. Long managed isolation queue, vaccinated, yeah, who knows, who knows. We are always amazed to see what this government does, always. It's definitely amazing. John Ronald Alok says, hi David, any advice for our application as we're still on queue for almost 1 year lodgement? My advice is that you may need to contact a professional if you think that you're not sure what to do. If you're already in the queue, you have the option to either leave it in the queue and wait until they allocate, or possibly if you meet this new criteria to withdraw and apply again, or both. Yeah. Okay, Samjana Paudalacharya says, it's me. I'm on Essential Skills Work Visa 3 years, working as healthcare assistant in rest home since 2 years. Have a pay rate of $27, lived in New Zealand for 4 years. On the moment, I'm on holiday for 10 weeks and came home last week. Am I eligible? So it appears that you would be, because you've been here for more than 3 years, you are paid more than $27, and you are in a job in healthcare. So it seems that you're eligible. So being on holiday for 10 weeks doesn't render you ineligible, because as long as you are actually here in New Zealand and on the 29th of September you meet the requirements, it looks like you'd be eligible. Looks like it. Eunhe, Gloria Huang Eunhe, looks also Korean. Hi David, I'm from February 2019, holding religious work visa for youth as volunteer. I don't earn money, just volunteering. Can I apply without $27? So if we look here at the eligibility criteria, it says that you are currently holding an eligible visa, and the religious worker work visa is on the list, right? So you meet that criteria. You've lived in New Zealand for 3 years or more? No, because you came in 2019, so less than 3 years. Earn above $27 an hour? No. So work in a role that's on the scarce list. So for you, we need to look at the scarcity list. So the list is for long-term skill shortage, or occupational registration, personal carer, or this primary sector. Now, when we look at the primary sector, we need to see if your job actually comes under one of these, regardless of what you're getting paid. I don't see religious worker here. Religious worker, I don't see it here. Yeah. It doesn't seem to be here. Look into the list more deeply and see if your particular job is here somewhere, but it doesn't seem like it is. You might actually not be eligible. Potentially you'll need to contact someone and find out. Sophie is asking, we're mentioning living together 12 months. Sorry, your question's disappeared, Sophie. Where's it gone? Yeah, partnership. To meet the requirement to include a partner, normally you have to live together 12 months, normally. If you haven't lived together 12 months, you could still be included in an application, but you might not be actually, the partner might not be approved for residence. It might be a deferred residence, which means they accept your partnership as genuine, but because you haven't met the requirement of living together, the main applicant gets residence, the partner has to wait until 12 months living together has been met. Pete, Ranjit, hi guys, what about healthcare workers? Healthcare workers can be eligible if they meet the other criteria. Ranjit, you hold a partnership work visa, so you're not eligible for this visa. It's just, you're not eligible. Only people who are holding the visa that's listed here are eligible. But you don't need to worry, because your residence is in process based on partnership. So this is for everybody here who's holding a partnership-based work visa. A partnership-based work visa holder is only eligible for this if your partnership is based on someone else who is eligible, right? Which means an essential skills or a talent work visa, something like that. If your partnership is based on a student visa holder, not eligible. If it's based on a resident or citizen, not eligible. But the idea is that if your partnership is based on a New Zealander, you're actually eligible based on that partnership, so you don't need to worry. And Ranjit, I think your residence should be approved soon. That's what I hope. Jashan Preet Singh says CNC machine operator comes in mechanical engineering category. I'm not sure what your question is, mate. Maybe send a question and I'll see if I can get to it. We're coming sort of, it's past an hour now. I might have to wind this up. I'll see if I can find some interesting questions here. Divya Dehulia is asking if health exemption can be applied for an eligible dependent child. If you're referring to a medical waiver, an exception to the health requirements, this is always available for residence categories in a standard normal way. So if you don't meet the health criteria, we can make a submission for a medical waiver. Raymond is asking about partners who need IELTS. Yeah, the question of IELTS or language is not specifically addressed yet. We need to wait for the policy to be announced. Yaj Patel, I'm eligible for this visa currently and someone offering me a new job. Should I change job or not? Look, my advice would be just to hold off making any major decisions just yet, if possible, because the media announcement is not the policy. And I can't clarify that enough, guys. The media announcement is not the policy. And many, many times we read a media announcement and then when we see the policy, it's actually substantially different. And when I say substantially, what I mean is not like it's majorly like a whole different policy. What I mean is that some of the details that we thought were implied in the announcement are actually addressed in a different way in the actual policy wording. So if possible, hold off from making any major decisions. But it appears, guys, that your eligibility is based on your visa and your job as of yesterday and as of the time you apply. So it might be the case that it should be the same job. It might be the case that it should be the same visa, but it's possible that if you met the criteria as of yesterday, and then when you change jobs, you will meet the criteria also at the time of applying, then it's possible that would be okay. I just want to be careful about really saying anything solid about that because the policy wording hasn't been released yet. Okay, Tarun Kartik says, hi, I've lodged my SMC application on 25 November and have been waiting for a case officer. Do you think they're going to expedite the current backlog or do I wait? We don't know, but we sort of feel that it's likely they'll start to expedite the existing cases. And, you know, you'd sort of hope that if they were being, rational, that anybody who's already applied for residence, one category or another, who also meets the criteria for this new application, that they could actually just change it over and why do you have to apply again, pay again? It doesn't make sense, but they have their processes, they have their systems, and it's possible that it could be appropriate to withdraw and apply again. It's going to come down to your personal circumstances and the actual policy wording. Naisha Ari says, hi David, can dependent work visa holder be main applicant? It looks like no, because a dependent work visa holder is not the type of work visa listed in this announcement. So you just don't meet the basic criteria of being able to apply because you don't have the right type of visa as of the 29th of September. Liza Marie Botha says, where can I find the scary list? It sounds like a scary list. They call it a scarce list. If you go to the immigration website and you look at the actual announcement, down the bottom of the page there's a link, you just click it. The list has already been changed once since it was released, so keep refreshing it and make sure that your occupation remains on the list. You might actually find some complaints about not including cooks and chefs, because think about it, they've included fruit and nut picker, but they haven't included chef. Like, how is this, cook? They haven't included cook. The thing with chef, of course, just to mention about chefs, is that chef is on the long-term skill shortage list. So the only thing though is that if you're claiming that your job is on the long-term skill shortage list, usually it means that you actually have to meet the criteria for the skill shortage list. You're right. So in the case of a chef, that's 5 years experience and 2 years as a chef de partie. But yeah, again, the devil's in the detail. Wait for the policy to be announced. Navdeep Kaur Panesh, Hi David, I came 2017 on student visa, got my post-study work visa in March 2019. Since April 2019 I'm working as healthcare assistant, but I'm not getting $27. Navdeep, I don't think you need to worry because you've been here more than 3 years, so you meet that criteria. Even if you don't have $27, you're fine. Number two, you're working in healthcare, right? You're holding a work visa, so you'll be eligible even though you don't have 27. It appears that way. Manav is asking about chefs. Now it's been removed. Yeah, what about chefs? It's on the long-term skill shortage list, so it's still there as meeting the criteria. But it's likely that you'll actually have to meet the criteria of the long-term skill shortage list. That's normally how they do it. Again, wait for the policy to come. Pawan is asking people applying from 1 December if they'll get residency results before 1st of March. We don't know. We don't know. They mentioned 12 months processing, but that's kind of a target. Like, some people could get approved within weeks. Who knows? In theory, this is a really straightforward and easy application, and in theory, those people who first apply, if they are lucky enough to be the first ones across the desk of an immigration officer, then they could get their residency within weeks, not months, if you're lucky. Mohammed Mir, my wife on partnership work visa and caregiver for 2 years. Yeah, great. Congratulations. You meet the criteria, it appears. April I'm going to try that one more time. April Fulgarinas. I hope I got that right. On a post-study work visa until mid-2022, work as a support worker under mental disability for less than a year. It appears that way because you hold the post-study work visa and you're working as a support worker. It appears that you'll be eligible. I think a lot of you guys are going to be eligible, a lot. And then there's just going to be a handful of you who just because of one specific thing don't quite come under the criteria, and I feel sorry for you guys because it's going to be so easy for everybody else. Tarun Kartik, hi, I've lodged my SMC application in November 2019, still waiting for a case officer. Are they going to expedite? They are currently allocating applications that were lodged in November 2019. So Tarun, it's possible that you will get your visa officer very soon. And it might be the case that your residence is processed before December. I can't promise that, but I would say wait and see. Don't withdraw your application. It's been in there for 2 years. It could be approved quickly. Hong Meo, hi David, my post-study expired last year and I'm on partnership work visa. I've been in New Zealand 6 years. You're not eligible. Because you're on a partnership working visa, you're not eligible. If your partner is a New Zealander, you're eligible based on partnership. Different criteria. If your partner is a work visa holder, you need to see if your partner is eligible. Because you, my friend, are not, unfortunately. Saurav Gupta, I came to New Zealand 2016, went back to India 2018 to see my parents, came back in 2019. Since then I'm in New Zealand. Will that affect my 3 years? They will likely look at the entire time you've spent in New Zealand. That's what I think they'll do. So if you spent a year back then a year back home, then another year, then a year back home, then another year, so 3 years in total, that's what it appears that they will do. I can't promise that, but that's normally how they would look at it. Hi David, this is Armando Campana Rodriguez. I love these Spanish sounding names. Hi David, I came to NZ 2014, currently I'm a chef. The party getting 27 an hour, will I be eligible? So you will be eligible if you currently hold a visa that's on the list, right? So if you have an essential skills visa, then yes, and then if you've got $27 an hour, yes, because remember, either 3 years in New Zealand or 27 an hour or a job that's on that scarce list. Now, you've been here more than 3 years, you're $27 an hour, so you actually meet those two regardless of whether you meet the third one or not. Fakhrul Islam, do we have to meet both the criteria of 3 years and 27? No, that's what I've just said. One or the other. One or the other. So there's three criteria. 3 years, $27 an hour, or a job on the list. Hi David, Courtney Lachey Smith is asking, my husband's essential skills visa expires in March. We haven't been here for 3 years, only 2 years, 7 months. Hubby is earning 27 and over. Yeah, that sounds good. I have teacher's registration but not working. Yeah. So you're not the one who's eligible, so it's irrelevant that you've got your registration or not. Your husband, because you have a partnership visa, I assume, your husband is the one who's eligible, based on having the essential skills visa and based on having $27 an hour eligible, according to what's been announced. The 3 years doesn't matter for you. Kiran Guri is asking how to calculate 821 days. Well, you just count the days. I'm not quite sure if there's any other way to count 821. And you start with number 1, so 1, and then after 1 comes 2, 3. I know I'm being facetious here, but that's pretty much how you do it normally. Look, if I expand that question out a little bit, there's a lot that could be said about it. We've had some cases in the past where we've had to prove periods of time. And look, how long is 12 months? So because 12 Februaries is a lot less time than 12 Decembers, for example. Immigration officers would normally look at calendar months if you're talking about months. If they specifically in the policy mention days, then we actually have to count days. Yeah. And like I said before about exceptions, if you have, let's say, 820 days, 1 day short because of various reasons, we can still potentially try to apply and request an exception. Okay, let's see what other good questions. I'm going to have to wind up, I think, very soon. Claudia Russo Ross says, the way I read the announcement is, first you have to be here 3 years or more. No. That's not correct. Let's read it properly, how it's announced. Okay. On 30th of September, they announced a one-off resident visa pathway. Okay. Some critical purpose visas and people eligible will be eligible, right? Okay. Applications are open in 2 stages. Eligibility. Applicants must have met the criteria on the 29th of September, so it's as of yesterday. So to eligible, you must, first of all, have been in New Zealand yesterday and hold an eligible visa. Okay, that's the first criteria. So if you were here yesterday in New Zealand and you held one of these visas, which is post-study, talent, essential skills, religious, long-term skill shortage, silver fern, traffic, there's a list that's there, right? Then you have to meet one of these other criteria. Either you have been here 3 years, or you have $27 an hour, or you have a job that's on that scarcity list. Okay, so it's not a requirement that you have to have been here 3 years if you meet the other criteria. Okay, Jang Hyunjun is asking, I have a question. My work visa expires next month. I've already applied my resident last April. Do I need to apply another work visa? Yeah, you'll need to apply for a work visa to extend your stay, your temporary visa. But if you're eligible for this new resident visa, you could possibly also apply for that. But yeah, you will need to apply for a new work visa. Contact us if you need help. Okay. Sharan Naikar is asking, if someone is a chef and the pay is less than $27 but has been in New Zealand for 5 years, is he eligible? Well, yeah, because either 3 years or $27 an hour or a job on the list. So the 3-year requirement, you could be a street sweeper, but if you've been here for 3 years and you hold an essential skills visa, you're fine. Okay. Kim Ji-young is asking, hi, I'm working as a chef, essential work visa, chef de partie, am I eligible? I don't know, because you haven't given me the key information, which is, how long have you been here? And are you really able to prove that you're a chef de partie, and do you meet the requirements of the skill shortage list? Because it appears that you would be eligible based on your job that's on the long-term skill shortage list. However, it's likely that immigration will still check if you meet the requirements of the skill shortage list, which means 5 years experience, level 4 qualification, minimum 2 years as a chef de partie. So that's something we will need to wait for the policy to actually be announced. Otherwise, everybody who's working in a kitchen can claim to be a chef, and you know they usually will actually still check, are you really a chef? Can you prove it? Beyond Sandu is asking about English language requirement. We've discussed a lot. We don't know yet. Deepan Dadok says he will finish 2 years with work to residence, eligible to apply on the 2nd of December, which is just after the new residence application. I've done my medical and PCC in this month. How can I get that valid, as now I'll be applying in December? So if you're applying based on this new visa, then you may not need your medicals and police checks, maybe. If you're applying for your residence from work based on your current visa, then you will need your medical and PCC because that's still required, and they will have to be valid at the time of your application, which for PCC is 6 months, for medicals 3 months. Or if you've done one previously in the last 3 years, maybe contact us separately to discuss that. Look guys, I think I might actually have to just finish. These questions keep coming. It's been about an hour and a half. A lot of these questions I can see are the same questions. Maybe you've joined a little bit later and you've missed me talking about it before. This video will be available. You can go back and watch it later. And also, if you have some questions, my advice is this, guys. First of all, read what's been announced. Second of all, consider that the announcement that we've received this morning is not the final policy announcement. The actual policy wording will come later. And so, wait for that to come if you can. If you need to make a decision ASAP to change your visa, to apply for a visa, to do something, if you have to make a decision really quickly, contact an advisor, contact us, give us a call, an email, and we can see if we can help you to make that decision. But if you don't have to make a decision right away, if you've got your job, you've got your visa, just wait. Rather than bombarding every advisor and lawyer's email inbox right away, just hold off a little bit and wait and see what is actually announced in the policy. When the policy wording is announced, we will also likely, publish what we see. We'll likely do some more videos like this. We'll likely post some clarity about what's being announced. And I think, just the key thing to keep in mind, guys, is stay calm. It appears that most of you are going to be eligible for this visa. A lot of disappointed people are now going to be very happy. And some of you will be disappointed, I'm sure, not being included, but get in touch because we may still be able to find another way for you to be eligible for residence. Okay, so yeah, I guess that's it. Everybody have a good day. I can see that there's one person has just come in the last minute to say hi, David, in the chat. And this is my good friend and business partner, Aaron Foley. And I guess that's good that I can make an announcement for you guys as well while we're here. For anybody who's still here, there's an announcement that as of tomorrow, Immigration Chambers, myself and my staff, we are now also incorporating as a law firm, right? And we have a business partner, Aaron Foley, who is a senior legal practitioner. He's a lawyer who practices in general practice law, and we've partnered together so that we can actually now take on all types of legal cases, not only immigration. Until now, since I left law school, I've only ever practiced in immigration law, and so now we've partnered with Aaron, and we're taking on some other lawyers as well, so that we can handle all manner of cases, ranging from normal stuff like conveyancing, purchasing houses, even family disputes, basically anything that comes across. You can get in touch with us about that. All other details stay the same. We're still in the same office, same phone numbers and everything like that. But yeah. Okay, so I guess that's all, guys. Have a nice day, and congratulations to all of you who are now eligible for a new resident visa. Thanks. Bye.